Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at some of the latest cybersecurity concerns and trends.
Yeah, some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of articles and blog posts to dig into, and I think some of these are going to be real eye-openers.
Oh, absolutely. Some pretty wild stuff going on out there.
We're talking about things like, wiping out entire cloud storage buckets with a single line of code,
Mm-hmm.
AI models that are secretly Trojan horses delivering malware. I mean,
It's the stuff of nightmares, right?
right.
But it's the reality we're living
It
in.
really is. Yeah, so let's just jump right in. And first up, we're going to talk about cloud security.
Okay.
And if you are a Google Cloud Platform user, this one's especially for you.
Buckle up.
Yeah. The Cisco Talos team, they uncovered a really alarming vulnerability with GCP's Cloud Gold service.
Yeah, this one's a big one because it really raises questions about how much trust we're putting in our cloud providers
Yeah.
and their security configurations.
Yeah.
Because, the research from Talos shows that attackers could use this vulnerability to exploit cloud build pipelines. And essentially what they could do is walk right into your cloud infrastructure, and I'm not kidding, digitally detonate a bomb,
Wow.
wiping out critical data stored in your buckets.
And the worst part is this attack can actually bypass Google's soft delete protection.
Yeah, which, a lot of people rely on.
Right. Soft delete is supposed to be like a safety net,
Yeah,
right? So you can recover deleted data within a certain time frame.
you think you're safe.
Yeah.
But these attackers, they can just spin up a new bucket with the same name as the one they deleted.
So it's like completely useless.
It makes soft delete completely useless. It's like they're changing the locks right after they steal your house keys.
Right. It's like, what's the point?
What's the point exactly?
So that's terrifying.
And what's even more concerning is that the logs and events from this attack, they can look pretty normal.
Oh, so they blend in.
They blend right in, making it incredibly difficult for security teams to even realize what's happening.
That's awful.
It is. And it really highlights the need for some seriously sophisticated anomaly detection and, really deep understanding of how all those cloud services interact.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, this all sounds very scary. What can people actually do to protect themselves?
Well, this GCP vulnerability, it's a wake-up call to really lock down those cloud build permissions,
Okay.
like Fort Knox.
Okay.
And we're talking the principle of least privilege. Make sure each service account only has access to what it absolutely needs to function.
Mm-hmm.
And don't just trust those default settings,
Right.
Audit the permissions of that cloud build service account. Do you really need it to have broad storage permissions? Could you create a separate, less privileged account for specific tasks?
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then finally, implement some robust anomaly detection for storage events. This way you can catch suspicious activity before it's too late. Think of it as having a security camera pointed right at your most valuable data.
I like that analogy. Yeah. Okay, so cloud security is clearly about so much more than just technical vulnerabilities. It's about trust.
It is.
And speaking of trust, let's look at how Amazon Web Services is addressing this, particularly for financial institutions in Switzerland.
Okay.
There's a new report out about AWS and something called FINMA ISA 3000 Type 2 attestation.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is a mouthful.
But basically, in plain English, this report assures Swiss financial institutions using AWS that the platform meets their strict regulatory requirements for outsourcing.
Okay.
It gives them the green light with independent verification that AWS is up to snuff when it comes to handling sensitive financial data.
So it's like a stamp of approval from a very, very strict financial watchdog.
Exactly. You got it.
Gotcha. And the latest report covers a whopping 179 AWS services, which is actually 10 more than last year.
It is.
And some of the newcomers include Amazon Data Zone, AWS Entity Resolution, and AWS Mainframe Modernization, just to name a few.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch more.
So for Swiss financial institutions, this means they can confidently store and process sensitive data in the AWS cloud, knowing that it's been thoroughly vetted by FINMA.
It's peace of mind, right?
Right.
It provides them with the legal backing and the confidence to leverage cloud services without, cutting corners on regulatory compliance.
That's huge. All right, so we've covered some pretty intense cloud security issues.
We have.
But as we know, the world of cybersecurity never stands still,
Yeah.
especially with the rise of all these exciting new technologies like AI.
It's true.
And that brings us to our next topic. Malicious machine learning models on Hugging Face.
No, this is where things start to get really interesting.
Okay.
Hugging Face, it's a platform where people share and collaborate on machine learning models.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a GitHub for AI
So
enthusiasts.
very collaborative.
Very
Yeah,
collaborative,
love that.
open and share.
Yeah.
But what if those AI models that you're downloading are actually hiding something a little more sinister? That's the reality we're facing now.
Malicious AI models. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? But it's happening.
How does that even work?
So attackers are using something called the nullify technique, and they're basically abusing the pickle file serialization method,
Okay.
which is used to, store and load these machine learning models to sneak in malicious payloads. Think of it like disguising a virus inside a seemingly harmless file download.
So it's like a Trojan horse hiding within the AI model itself.
Exactly. And the scariest part is these malicious models, they can slip right past those traditional security measures.
Oh, no.
They look perfectly legitimate until they're executed.
Right.
And then all hell breaks loose.
So they're just waiting.
They're just waiting. And this isn't just, theoretical. Researchers at Reversing Labs actually discovered malicious models on Hugging Face that were spreading malware.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is a real problem.
So even open source platforms like Hugging Face, which are, known for their collaboration and sharing, even those can be compromised.
That's the thing. We can't afford to blindly trust any platform, no matter how many security measures are in place, because attackers are constantly finding new ways to exploit them.
So what can we do to protect ourselves from these malicious AI models?
Well, we need to be a lot more careful about scrutinizing any machine learning models we use,
Okay.
especially if they're coming from third-party platforms.
Right.
And it's also crucial to use tools that can detect suspicious activity within that serialized data. We need to treat all downloaded code with a healthy dose of suspicion.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't trust anything anymore.
It's a jungle out there.
It really is.
Mm-mm.
It makes you wonder if we're even remotely prepared for the security challenges that come with, everything moving to the cloud and AI just like infiltrating every aspect of our lives.
It's a valid question, and the nature of these threats, it's constantly evolving. So we need a proactive and multi-layered approach to security. We need to adapt to new technologies and anticipate those emerging attack vectors, because what worked yesterday might not work tomorrow.
So it's all about staying one step ahead of the bad guys.
Exactly. And that brings us to another point, the increasing sophistication of social engineering tactics. Because even with all the advances in AI and cloud computing, scammers are still finding ways to exploit human vulnerabilities. It's proof that sometimes those oldest tricks in the book are still the most effective.
Very true. We'll dive into some specific examples of that right after this.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that even in this like super high-tech world, we can't forget about good old-fashioned trickery.
Nope, not at all. Scammers are masters at adapting to the latest trends,
Right.
exploiting anxieties and uncertainties. And take, for example, the recent USPS package suspension from China and Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah.
This situation caused a lot of confusion and uncertainty, which is a scammer's playground.
I see where you're going with this. So you're saying, like, remember your package is stuck in customs scams.
Exactly.
It seems like this whole situation is just ripe for a new wave of those.
Oh, absolutely. They could easily send fake refund messages claiming packages can be delivered, or, try variations of that classic "your package is stuck" scam.
So it's like the same old song and dance, just with a slightly different tune?
Yeah, precisely. And it doesn't stop there. We could also see phishing attempts disguised as official communications from shippers, customs officials, even e-commerce platforms.
Oh, gosh.
They might try to trick people into handing over personal or financial information under the guise of, resolving package delivery issues.
So what's the best way to avoid falling for these scams, especially now when things are a bit more chaotic?
Well, the key is to be extra cautious about any unsolicited messages, especially those with urgent calls to action.
Right.
Always verify information through trusted channels and never ever click on suspicious links.
That's good advice for any situation, really.
Mm.
When in doubt, verify. That should be our motto for navigating the digital world.
I love that. I couldn't agree more. And if you're ever unsure about a message contact, the supposed sender directly using their official contact information,
Right.
not the information provided in the suspicious message.
Good point. Okay, so that's a good reminder to stay vigilant. But sometimes, even when we think we're being careful, scammers can still find ways to trick us. And that brings us to another interesting example, one that really highlights the cunning of these attackers. The case of the fake Cisco AnyConnect installer being distributed through malicious Google ads.
Oh, this one's a good one. This campaign is fascinating because it shows how attackers are blending sophisticated techniques with that classic social engineering. They actually cloned a university website to make their ads appear more legitimate.
Wow, so they were really trying to make it look official.
They even copied the university's cookie notification.
Oh my
They
goodness.
went all out. But here's the thing, they made a small slip-up that revealed their likely Russian origin.
It's like they almost got away with it.
Almost. It's like they were trying to be super sneaky but accidentally left a clue
A
behind.
little breadcrumb trail.
Exactly. So how did the scam actually work? Well, they used a redirect chain to send victims to a fake Cisco website
Okay.
designed to look incredibly authentic.
You would never know.
You would never know. And they offered a malicious installer that at first glance appeared to be the real deal. But it was actually hiding a nasty surprise. The Net Support RAT.
Net support RAT. That doesn't sound good.
It's not good. It's a remote access Trojan that gives the attacker full control over the victim's computer.
Oh, wow. So even clicking on a seemingly legitimate ad can lead to a full-blown malware infection. That's really scary.
It is, and it highlights the fact that we need to be cautious about everything we click on. Sponsored search results, download links, email attachments, you name it.
It makes you wonder, can we even trust Google Ads anymore?
Well, it's not about distrusting an entire platform. It's about understanding that any platform, no matter how secure it claims to be, can be manipulated by clever attackers. This case really underscores the importance of verifying information through trusted channels. If you're downloading software, always double-check the source. Make sure it's from the official vendor's website.
Okay, so it's all about being proactive and taking those extra steps to verify. Speaking of being proactive, let's shift gears and talk about how we can stay ahead of the curve in this constantly evolving world of cybersecurity. The Palo Alto Network's 2024 Partner Awards offer some interesting insights into the current landscape.
Yeah, they do. These awards really highlight the critical role of partnerships in cybersecurity because no single company can tackle these threats alone.
Right.
Collaboration is key, and these awards, they showcase the companies and individuals who are leading the charge.
So it's like the cybersecurity Oscars. Who are some of the big winners?
Well, the list of award winners is impressive. We have IBM, Deloitte, Accenture, Google Cloud, AWS, and many more. Each winner specializes in a different area of cybersecurity, giving us a glimpse into the trends and priorities that are shaping the industry.
It sounds like a really diverse group, which probably reflects the wide range of threats that we're facing.
Exactly. For instance, IBM won the Precision AI Innovator of the Year award, which reflects the growing importance of AI in cybersecurity.
Makes sense.
Then we have Presidio and Accenture, who took home Prisma Cloud Partner of the Year awards, highlighting the crucial role of cloud security solutions in today's environment.
So AI and cloud security are definitely at the forefront. What other areas were highlighted?
Well, the Cortex Partner of the Year awards, which went to Deloitte, SHI International, and Orange, are interesting because these companies are leaders in developing and implementing solutions for security operations and threat intelligence.
It seems like these awards cover a wide range of cybersecurity domains, from network security to cloud security to managed security services. It really drives home the point that cybersecurity is no longer a siloed discipline. It's woven into every aspect of our digital lives.
Absolutely. And that's a crucial point for our listeners to understand. Cybersecurity is not just an IT issue, it's a business issue, a societal issue, and a personal issue.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners when it comes to these awards and the trends they represent?
Pay attention to the areas that these industry leaders are focusing on because these are the trends that will likely shape the cybersecurity landscape in the coming years. Understanding them can help you make more informed decisions about your own security posture.
It's like getting a sneak peek into the future of cybersecurity.
Exactly.
So what are some of the specific things these companies are doing that our listeners could learn from?
Well, one area that's particularly interesting is the analysis of a Python script containing multiple anti-debugging techniques.
Okay.
This analysis was conducted by the SANS Internet Storm Center, and it provides a fascinating glimpse into the minds of malware authors and the lengths they're going to evade detection.
Anti-debugging techniques. What exactly are those?
Think of them as ways for malware to hide from security researchers and analysis tools. It's like playing a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek with a very sneaky opponent.
So this particular script was particularly sneaky, I take it.
Oh, it was packed with sophisticated anti-debugging tricks. For example, it employed code self-mutation, meaning it could actually change its own code to make it harder to analyze.
Oh, wow.
It also used infinite loop debugger traps, which are designed to lock up analysis tools, and it even included techniques to detect the presence of
Right
breakpoints.
points.
You know those handy tools security researchers use to pause and examine code execution? Right. They thought of everything.
It sounds like they really did.
They put a lot of effort into making their malware difficult to analyze, and that's concerning. It highlights the need for more advanced analysis tools and techniques that can keep pace with these evasive maneuvers.
So it's an ongoing arms race
Hmm.
with both sides constantly trying to outdo the other.
Exactly. And security researchers need to be equipped with the latest tools and knowledge to stay one step ahead.
This all makes me wonder, what other tricks do these malware authors have up their sleeves?
Well, that's a great question, and it brings us to another area of concern. The rise of view state code injection attacks.
Yep.
These attacks specifically target ASP.NET web applications, which are incredibly common.
Right.
So let's dive into that after a quick break.
View state code injection attacks. Have to admit that sounds a little over my head.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for us?
Sure. So think of view state as a feature in ASP.NET web applications that allows developers to store information about the state of a web page.
Okay.
Things like what's in a shopping cart or what options a user has selected.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
So how does this become a security risk?
Well, attackers have figured out ways to exploit this view state feature to inject malicious code into websites. And what's really concerning is they're leveraging publicly disclosed ASP.NET machine keys to do this.
Machine keys. What are those?
They're essentially secret codes that are used to protect view state data,
Okay.
but sometimes developers accidentally expose them in public repositories or documentation. It's like leaving your house key under the welcome mat.
Oh, no. So attackers can find these keys and use them to break into websites.
Exactly. They can use these keys to create malicious view state payloads and inject them into vulnerable websites. And the consequences can be pretty dire. These attacks can lead to remote code execution, which means giving attackers complete control over the compromised web server.
So it's like giving them the keys to the kingdom.
That's a good way to put it. And this isn't just theoretical. Microsoft's threat intelligence team actually observed an attack where a publicly disclosed machine key was used to inject malicious code and deliver something called the Godzilla post-exploitation framework.
Godzilla. Okay, that definitely sounds scary. What exactly does this Godzilla framework do?
It's a powerful tool that gives attackers a whole arsenal of capabilities. They can execute commands, inject shellcode into processes, basically do whatever they want on the compromised server.
That's terrifying. So what can developers do to protect themselves from these types of attacks? It sounds like they need to be really careful about those machine keys.
Absolutely. The first step is to make sure they're not using any publicly disclosed machine keys. Microsoft actually provides a list of hash values for known compromised keys in their GitHub repository, so developers can check their own keys against that list.
That's really helpful. But what if a developer realizes they're using one of those compromised keys? What should they do?
They need to rotate their keys immediately. And Microsoft provides detailed instructions on how to do this using the IS Manager console or PowerShell.
Okay, so that takes care of the immediate threat. But what about preventing these types of attacks in the future? What are some best practices developers should follow?
Well, Microsoft recommends a number of best practices like following secure DevOps standards, encrypting sensitive information in configuration files, and upgrading to the latest version of ASP.NET to take advantage of those additional security features.
So it sounds like it all boils down to being aware of the risks and taking proactive steps to protect yourself.
Exactly. Developers need to be very cautious about using publicly disclosed code and take steps to protect their applications from these types of attacks.
Why, you've definitely given me a lot to think about today. It seems like the world of cybersecurity is this never-ending battle against increasingly sophisticated attackers.
It's true. It can feel overwhelming at times, but I think it's important to remember that knowledge is power. The more we understand about these threats, the better equipped we are to defend against them.
And that's exactly what this deep dive is all about. We're not trying to scare anyone. We're trying to empower you with the information you need to stay safe in this digital age.
And one of the most important takeaways from today's conversation is that cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. It's not just up to security professionals. Everyone has a role to play.
Absolutely. From developers to IT admins to everyday users, we all need to be aware of the risks and take steps to protect ourselves and our data.
That includes using strong passwords, being wary of phishing emails, keeping our software up to date, and being proactive about learning about new threats and vulnerabilities.
Right. Resources like the SANS Internet Storm Center, the Malwarebytes blog, and the Cisco Talos blog are invaluable sources of information.
Absolutely. They provide those timely updates on the latest threats, as well as practical advice on how to stay safe. So don't just sit back and wait for something bad to happen. Take control of your cybersecurity and make it a priority.
It's like they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Couldn't agree more. The threats we've explored today, they represent just a small fraction of what's out there. But by staying informed and taking those proactive steps to protect ourselves, we can make it much harder for attackers to succeed.
Cybersecurity is an ongoing journey, not a destination.
Well said. Let's all continue to learn, adapt, and work together to create a safer digital world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.